How's it going, my peeps? It is now time for the Payback 2014 results/highlights and review video. So I'll go over the results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts, my review on the show. So of course, it starts with the kickoff, and the superstar panel this time was Alex Riley, Booker T, Kofi Kingston, and of course, Josh Matthews. They talk about the matches, what matches they're looking forward to the most, hype up the matches, and then comes time for the actual kickoff match, El Torito versus Hornswoggle, and it was another entertaining match between the two. The crowd was even chanting, "This is awesome," during the match. Yet both El Torito and Hornswoggle took out, the Los Matadores and 3MB on the outside. At some point, Hornswoggle just did like a flipping senton on them, and El Torito hit a Hurricane Rana or head scissors. He head scissored, I think, Heath Slater onto the rest of 3MB. And then towards the end, Hornswoggle, he has El Torito down and he takes off his mask. But what he doesn't know is that El Torito has another mask right under it. And Hornswoggle's, he has the mask in his hand and he's all happy. He's not looking behind him, doesn't know that, he hasn't seen that El Torito still has a mask. So then when he turns around, El Torito hits a springboard moonsault on Hornswoggle while he's up, covers him, and gets the 3 count. So El Torito wins, and Hornswoggle gets his head shaved. Which, right after the match, after El Torito celebrates, they put Hornswoggle on like a barber's chair, and El Torito's the one to shave him, and, Los Matadores are there, and they're putting also freaking shaving cream on his head. And they end up shaving Hornswoggle bald. I mean, he still had a little bit of hair in the back, but, they shaved most of it. So, anyways, after that, we get 2 matches announced, 2 extra matches announced. First one was Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus Rybackaxel, and also Kofi Kingston versus Bo Dallas. So then after the kickoff, the actual show starts, and it kicks off with the US title match between Sheamus and Cesaro. And, of course, Paul Heyman introduces Cesaro, and right when he mentions the words Paul Heyman guy, the crowd starts chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. So then Paul Heyman tells them, oh, he's not here tonight. He's at the United Center watching the Blackhawks get their streak broken by the LA Kings. And then the crowd boos that. So, and afterwards he says, and I knew that was coming right when he mentioned streak. He said, and speaking of streaks, my client Brock Lesnar, and the crowd said it with him, broke The Undertaker's undefeated streak. So anyways, he introduces Cesaro, and as far as the match goes, man, it was a great match. It was an awesome match to kick off the show. Real action-packed. Both guys pulled off some pretty cool moves. You had Cesaro pull off the superplex where his opponent is on the apron, and he pulls him from the apron pretty much to inside the ring or on the mat. And Cesaro at some point went for the neutralizer, but Sheamus countered that into the white noise. You had Sheamus going for the bro kick, Cesaro ducking in, and then following that up with a German suplex. It was just a great match, and the crowd was really into it as well. Crowd was very pro Cesaro, not so much Sheamus. They were booing Sheamus. There was a few cheers for Sheamus, but there was a lot of boos too. At some point, actually, there was a dueling chant, just like Cena, where some of the crowd was chanting, let's go Sheamus, while the other half was chanting, Sheamus sucks. So, towards the end, Cesaro goes for the big swing, and he does it for about 21 or 22 swings. And right after he's done, he goes towards Sheamus to pick him up, and then out of nowhere, Sheamus rolls him up, 1, 2, 3, gets the 3 count, wins the match. It was kind of unexpected. I was thinking maybe Cesaro would kick out of that, but no, he didn't, so Sheamus retains the US title. And then after that was one of the announced matches, which was Cody and Goldust versus Rybackaxel. And actually, I like this match. I like the ending especially. And it seems now that, I don't know if Cody just started doing this now or not, but now, when he's preparing for the disaster cake, he stomps his feet, or stomps his legs off his feet, just like Shawn Michaels does before Sweet Chin Music. So he does that, and then he goes for the disaster kick on Ryback. Ryback catches him in a powerbomb position, and then when he turns around, Goldust gets in the ring, so Ryback decides to powerbomb Cody onto Goldust instead of the mat, and then he covers him. I thought maybe that, would get the cover or get the win, but Cody kicks out. And then at some point in the match, he also had Cody, this was, I guess, one of the highlights, but it was almost botched. Because Cody went for the moonsault on both Curtis Axel and Ryback, but he almost fell when he went for it. But thankfully, he landed correctly and landed on both Curtis Axel and Ryback. Maybe he hit his head or on one of them, but he managed to, not fall on his head. Anyways, a bit afterwards, Cody actually hits Crossroads, and at that point, I'm thinking, oh, the match is over now. Cody and Goldust are actually going to win. But then I see Curtis Axel come in the ring, so I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to get interrupted. So Curtis Axel interrupts it, and then Goldust takes out Curtis Axel, and I believe Ryback took out Goldust, and then Cody went for another disaster kick. Once again, he stomped his feet, and then went for it, but this time, this was a cool counter. If you thought the powerbomb counter was cool, the powerbomb counter, we've seen it before, but this time, Ryback actually caught him in like a perfect shellshock position, hit the shellshock, and Rybackaxel win the match. So after the match, Cody grabs a microphone, and I'm thinking, alright, here's the heel turn. He's going to probably say something real quick, and then hit Goldust with the microphone and start, attacking him. But actually just, said to Goldust that, he thinks Goldust needs a better tag team partner. And then left, and that was it. So that kind of surprised me. And following that, it was Rusev versus Biggie. Now, this was Rusev's longest match yet, since Rusev's matches so far have been less than 2 minutes each. This one was about, 5 minutes, maybe? Like, it was longer than all the other ones. It's his longest match, but it's still a pretty short match. It was a bit shorter than I thought it would be. But for the time it got, I thought it was a really entertaining match. It was just two big guys, fighting it out. And highlight of the match was definitely Biggie going for that. He hit his spear. The spear Biggie goes for on the outside, where his opponent's on the apron, Biggie's on the inside, and then he hits a spear, and they both fall on the outside. He hit that. Right after he hit it, the crowd's chanting, holy shit, holy shit. And then they get back in the ring, and once back in the ring, Biggie goes for a signature clothesline, but he gets caught out of nowhere with a super kick from Rusev. And then Lana tells Rusev to crush, and then so he locks on the accolade, and Biggie taps out. So Rusev wins the match, and after the match, he grabs the flag and swings it around. By the way, when he made his entrance, he also had the flag and was swinging it around, and then when Biggie also came out, he also had the American flag and was swinging it around. So, afterwards, it was actually one of the other unannounced matches, Kofi Kingston versus Bo Dallas. It was supposed to happen, but you see, once they came out and they're both in the ring, the pyro goes off and Kane comes out. And Bo Dallas and Kofi are waiting for him in the ring. Oh no, they're gonna fight. But you can tell Bo Dallas is about to run. All the heels do that. So, yeah, Bo Dallas runs away. He gets out of the ring. So Kofi fights Kane on his own. Kane takes him out of the ring, puts him back in the ring, chokeslams him, and then hits him with a tombstone piledriver. And then once Kane leaves, by the way, Kane does the pyro before leaving, raising his arms up and then putting them down. And then he leaves, and then Bo Dallas grabs a microphone, gets back in the ring, and he checks on Kofi Kingston. He's like, Kofi, it's gonna be alright, you're gonna come back, and you're gonna be even better than ever, but you just have to bolieve. And then his music hits, and then after that, it was time for the Intercontinental Championship match. Bad News Barrett versus Rob Van Dam. Now, before the match, of course, Bad News Barrett has to deliver some bad news, because he's afraid he's got some bad news. And, basically, he tells the Rob Van Dam fans that, tonight, he's going to give Rob Van Dam a permanent summer vacation after a bullhammer. And he also calls Rob Van Dam an old yeller. And, yeah, then the match begins. And highlights of the match. Well, you had Rob Van Dam going for the frog splash. He missed it. Bad News Barrett rolled out the ring. You had Wade Barrett going for the bullhammer, I think, 3 times in the match. at one point in the match, RVD was on the outside, and Barrett goes for it for the bullhammer, you know, so he can hit Rob Van Dam, and Rob Van Dam's, the back of RVD's head would hit the ring post, but RVD gets out of the way, so Barrett just hits his elbow on the steel post, and he was selling it the rest of the match. Also, you had Rob Van Dam throwing B&B in the crowd. Rob Van Dam hit his spinning kick, or spinning drop, no, actually not drop kick, I mean spinning leg drop on B&B when he's hanging off the barricade. And then once they're back in the ring, RVD hit a pretty sick springboard DDT, but bad news, Barrett kicked out. In the end, Rob Van Dam goes for a moonsault from the top turnbuckle, but bad news, Barrett gets his knees up, and then he falls it up, you know, and he's still selling, you know, the elbow from hitting the steel post, but he manages to hit the bullhammer anyways on RVD, covers him, and gets the win. Afterwards, it was time to find out Daniel Bryan's decision in regards to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Does he or does he not surrender the title? So Stephanie McMahon comes out, and then she calls out Daniel Bryan. He comes out with Brie Bella, and then Stephanie tells Daniel Bryan she's happy he brought Brie Bella because, you know, one day they might conceive, and, you know, they probably want to do the best thing, you know, they want to set a good example, and that would be, of course, handing over the championship. And then Bryan comes back and says, you know, why don't you set a good example? You know, you saw the reaction you got when you came out here, you know, she was getting booed. And the crowd starts chanting at some point CM Punk. And when they do that, it was around the time where Daniel Bryan was like trying to convince Stephanie to, for her, I guess, to do the right thing, which I guess would be, you know, to not strip him of the championship or not fire Brie Bella and let him keep the title or something like that. And when they're chanting CM Punk and Daniel Bryan's, you know, talking to Stephanie, Stephanie tells Bryan, see, you know, the crowd wants you to quit just like CM Punk did. And shortly afterwards, Daniel Bryan tells Stephanie, you know, he's hoping her kids are watching to see how their mom is a narcissistic, self-centered, and then he's like, and what's that other word I'm looking for? And then he looks at Brie, and Brie grabs the microphone and says, bitch. And then Stephanie says, oh, well, I see, you know, Brie Bella's the one with the guts in the family. And then she tells Brie how she made a poor choice in a husband. And anyways, eventually, Brie Bella tells Daniel Bryan, you know, they know what they have to do, or they know what the right thing to do is, or something like that. And then Daniel Bryan appears to be contemplating giving the championships. But then Brie Bella grabs a microphone, stops Bryan, and tells Stephanie she can't control her. And Stephanie says, yes, she can, because, you know, she's her boss. So then Stephanie McMahon appears as if she's about to fire Brie. But then Brie Bella says, no, you can't fire me, because I quit. And then Stephanie's laughing, she's smiling, and then all of a sudden Brie Bella slaps Stephanie, and then that smile goes away, and then Stephanie's like, doesn't know what to say, what to do, she's like, shocked. And then she gets out of the ring and leaves. And then Bryan and Brie celebrate. And they do the yes chant. So I was right in my prediction. Daniel Bryan did not surrender the championship. So, after that, it was time for the last man standing match. It was Bray Wyatt versus John Cena in an awesome last man standing match. This was seriously a great match. One of the better last man standing matches I've seen. And as expected, Eric and Luke Harper did get involved. They did try and turn this into a handicap match, but in the very beginning, John Cena was ready for that. So the Usos came out when Bray, because in the beginning of the match, Bray, well, the entire Wyatt family surrounded the ring. So then that's when the Usos music hits and they came down the ring. And then once the match started, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper were at ringside while the Usos are also at ringside. It wasn't, you know, like a freaking 6-man match or something like that. But towards the end of the match, you know, they all got involved in some pretty big spots, which were pretty cool too. So, some of the highlights in the match. First things first, first finisher came where John Cena hit the Faymaster from the top turnbuckle. And then they were both down for maybe a 7 count or something like that. And then once they got back up, Cena goes for the AA, but it doesn't work out because Bray Wyatt gets out of it, hits Sister Abigail, and that was the first finisher of the match. Cena got up at the count of 8. And then once Cena got up, he hits the Attitude Adjustment on Bray. And then this was pretty cool. Instead of, getting up like you typically get up in a match like this, at the count of 7, Bray Wyatt got up, like popped up in the crab position or whatever, like that upside down crab walk he does. I don't know what he calls it, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about here. So that got a pop too when he got up like that, and John Cena freaked out. And then at that very moment, I believe Roman got involved and took down Cena, and that's when the Usos come in, and Usos and Rowan and Harper fight it out. At some point you have one of the Usos on the outside and Rowan on the outside as well, and Luke Harper hits a suicide dive and hits both of them. So he hits, one of the Usos and also Eric Rowan. And then right when he hits that and they all get up eventually, the other Uso is on the top turnbuckle and he hits a Whisper in the Wind. I don't know what you'd call it other than Whisper in the Wind. I know Whisper in the Wind is the name of Jeff Hardy. The move isn't actually called Whisper in the Wind. I think like a corkscrew moonsault. But I'm saying Whisper in the Wind because, most of the people know what that move is, since Jeff Hardy, uses that move all the time. But yeah, he hits that move. That was pretty cool. And then after that, we didn't see the Usos and the rest of the Wyatt family for a while. But they come back eventually. So Cena and Bray keep fighting it out. And one of the sickest spots in the match was John Cena grabbed the steel steps. At this point, Bray is on the outside. John Cena grabs the steel steps and he freaking throws them from the inside of the ring to the outside, right onto Bray. They land right onto Bray. He falls down. That looked pretty painful. I don't know, they look pretty damn heavy. So yeah, Bray Wyatt eventually got up from that. And another highlight in the match, John Cena, although this highlight though was kind of missed by the camera, because we saw the replay of it, but we missed it the first time. The camera wasn't showing it the first time. But pretty much John Cena was on the apron and he jumped onto Bray Wyatt, who's on the outside, but Bray Wyatt catches him and then hits Sister Abigail right away onto the barricade, just like he did on Daniel Bryan when they had their match at the Royal Rumble. Cena, though, gets up from that, and then a bit later in the match, or maybe it was before that spot, John Cena hits another AA on Bray, this time on the outside, and at that point, Rowan and Harper come back. And John Cena's in the ring. He goes back in the ring. Bray Wyatt is on the outside. Harper and Rowan help Bray Wyatt back up, and then they get in the ring, where Harper hits a discus clothesline on Cena, and then the Usos come back. So once the Usos come back, the Usos and the Wyatt family fight once again, and that distracts the referee. They're fighting on the outside of the ring. And you also have Eric Rowan setting up a table, Luke Harper setting up a table. Actually, Luke Harper set up 2 tables, while Eric Rowan set up a table on, the other side, right in front of the barricade. And then one of the Usos charges Rowan, but Rowan catches him in, a fall-away slam position, and he tries to go for the fall-away slam, but the Uso gets out of it, and then I think Rowan tries to clothesline him, he ducks it, and then super kicks Rowan. And then Rowan falls down, right in front of the table. So he's sitting down, leaning on the table. And then the Uso, I think it was Jay. I'm pretty sure it was Jay Uso. I know I keep saying the Uso, or this Uso, or the other Uso. But I'm pretty sure this was Jay. Jay hits the running hip attack or running ass smash. I'm pretty sure it's called the running hip attack on Rowan through the table. So that was pretty cool. But the spot after that was even cooler. And keep in mind, this entire time, Bray Wyatt is like laying down. He's like sitting down, but laying on the barricade. He's still down. And the referee is distracted. He's looking at the Usos and Rowan and Harper fighting it out on the outside. And Michael Cole's yelling on commentary, hey, you know, Bray Wyatt's down. Count him out, count him out. But referee's still distracted. And now this next spot, this was actually one of the biggest spots in the match. And, you know, it did not involve Cena and Bray. Luke Harper, keep in mind, he set up 2 tables like right next to each other on the outside. He hits a superplex from the top, or the second turnbuckle on Jim Uso onto or through the tables. So that was a pretty damn cool moment. That was cool. So yeah, and also that's not all. This match, like I said, it was a great match. There was a lot of cool spots. Another highlight: Bray Wyatt hit his running crossbody through the barricade onto Cena. But Cena eventually got up, and I think it was at that point, once he got up, I think that's when they started fighting in the crowd, and then they go like, they're still in the crowd kind of, but next to the ramp, the stage. So they're next to the stage, and Bray throws John Cena, I guess, in the place where they control the pyros, I think. Because when he throws him in that spot, the pyros go off. You hear pyros go off in the stage. And then, and in that spot, it's like surrounded by these wooden boxes. It's the best way I could call it here. Jerry the King Lawler also called it that. It's like these, yeah, like I said, wooden boxes. It's surrounded by them. So then they climb up on one of the wooden box and they start fighting. They start trading punches. And then all of a sudden, John Cena gets Bray up for the attitude adjustment, and he hits it. He freaking hits it on Bray through one of those wooden boxes. So Bray goes through that, and then that's not all. Cena actually goes ahead and takes another of the wooden boxes and puts it on top of the wooden box Bray is in. So that way, Bray just can't get up. And that's not all. John Cena then climbs up, or he gets on top of that wooden box that's on top of the wooden box Bray is in. So that way, there is absolutely no way Bray can get up. And Bray did not get up, so Cena wins the match. So Cena finds another unique way to keep his opponent down. I mean, you know, we had the John Cena-Batista Last Man Standing match before, where John Cena duct taped Batista's legs to the steel post. This time, Cena puts a huge freaking wooden box on top of Bray, or on top of the box Bray is in, and then he climbs on top of that. So yeah, Cena wins in an absolutely great Last Man Standing match. I really enjoyed this match. Pretty entertaining. And then came time for the Divas title match between Paige and Alicia Fox. And Paige ended up winning with the Scorpion Crosslock. But I believe Michael Cole said that it's now called like the Paige Tap Out or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he said that or I was just hearing things. So don't, you know, quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. But you know, I think the Scorpion Crosslock is a much better name than the Paige Tap Out, if that is what I heard. But anyways, after that match, it was time for the main event. The 6-man tag team elimination no holds barred match. They show a cool video package before the match, and then Evolution come out, and then right away I'm like, wait a minute. And, you know, I'm looking at Batista's attire, and he's got the same freaking, not wristbands, because they don't cover just the wrist. The armbands, I guess. Actually, I think that's what it's called, the armbands. That's in Carl wears. They're blue, they're all blue. He's wearing a blue attire, and he's got these blue armbands on. I was wondering why Batista was wearing that. First time I've seen Batista wear that. And I wasn't the only one, you know, surprised by Batista's attire, because one of the freaking trends worldwide during the match was Blue Tista. They said it was the #1 trend worldwide. So anyways, so yeah, I guess Batista now has a bunch of nicknames. He's got Bootista and Bluetista. So, as far as the match goes, it was a pretty damn good match. Another good match between The Shield and Evolution. Although this match, though, it was heavily dominated by Evolution, like, towards the beginning. Not the very, very beginning. Actually, you know what? I'd say the middle of the match. Because in the beginning, it was back and forth. And actually, speaking of the beginning of the match, in the very, very beginning of the match, they were fighting on the outside. For a while, they were all fighting on the outside. All of them, you know, Batista and Reigns, and I think it was Triple H and Seth Rollins, and Ambrose and Orton. And they were fighting like that for a while, all fighting against each other, that I completely forgot that they had to tag each other in. Because then once, you know, I think two of them got back in the ring, the others got on the apron. And they started tagging each other in. So, it all, you know, it all went Evolution's way, or the advantage went to Evolution once Reigns hit the Superman punch on Batista. He covers Batista, Orton interrupts it, and then all hell breaks loose. They start fighting on the outside once again. And pretty much Triple H and Triple H and Reigns, no, not Reigns, I keep messing up, Triple H and Rollins fighting the crowd, as well as Orton and Ambrose, just like, you know, their first match at Extreme Rules. Now, Seth Rollins goes for like a jump, not a jump from, you know, a very high place like, you know, at Extreme Rules from the stands, but he goes for a little jump on Triple H. Triple H grabs like a, honestly, I didn't know what it was. At first I thought maybe it was a TV, but I don't think it was a TV. It might have been just a sheet of metal. I don't know, it was something, it was something. He grabs something and hits Seth Rollins right in the head, and I think on commentary somebody said it was a sheet of metal, just metal. So he hits Seth Rollins with that right in the head, which pretty much knocks Rollins out for a while. And then Orton also takes out Ambrose. So then Reigns and Batista are still fighting, and Reigns is getting the better of Batista. And he takes off the top of the announcer's table, but then Orton comes from behind and attacks Reigns. And then Triple H also comes up to Randy and Batista. And then they all attack Reigns, and they take off the monitors off the announcer's table, and you can pretty much figure out what comes next. They hit the triple parabomb on Reigns through the announcer's table, and then they pose right in front of Reigns. They do the fist bump, and then out of nowhere, Ambrose comes jumping from the announcer's table onto all of them, and then they all start crawling towards the other end of the ring or the barricade. And once they get up, Evolution get up, Seth Rollins jumps from inside the ring to the outside, hitting a flipping senton on both Randy and Triple H. And then they keep crawling towards, I think, the stage. And at that point, Evolution was just destroying the Shield. With steel chairs, with everything, they were just beating the Shield up. And Triple H ends up hitting a pedigree on a steel chair on the stage on Seth Rollins. So they've taken out Ambrose and Reigns on the stage, and now on the inside the ring, they see Reigns. Reigns has now crawled back in the ring. So then they go back inside the ring. They surround Reigns. Randy goes ahead and grabs 3 Kanes, kendo sticks, and he gives each member of Evolution a kendo stick. So they all take turns. Actually, beforehand, they grab the steel steps, and they put Reigns on the steel steps. Actually, before that, they take Reigns' vest off, and then they put him on the steel steps. And one of them, in the beginning, it was Triple H. He was grabbing Reigns' arms, keeping him on the steel steps, while Batista and Randy were taking turns just hitting him in the back with the kendo stick. And then I think it was Batista. Batista started holding Reigns' hands, while Randy and Triple H started hitting Reigns in the back with the kendo sticks. They hit him with a bunch of shots to the back with the kendo sticks. He had a bunch of marks on his back afterwards. And then that wasn't all. Triple H then grabs the steel chair and also hits Reigns with the chair on the back a couple times. And then Evolution decide to go back to the stage where Ambrose and Rollins were. and they see Ambrose. Ambrose sees them. Ambrose charges them, but they're beating up on Ambrose. And then we don't see Seth Rollins. So the first thing that pops in my head is like, alright, I think I know where this is going. This is like last time. You know, we didn't see Seth Rollins for a while, and they were beating up on Ambrose, and then Seth Rollins comes in for a jump, so I was like, I think he's gonna jump from the Titantron or something. So I was kind of right. It wasn't from the top of the Titantron, but, you know, it was like, I think it was on top of the Minitron. We see Seth Rollins there, then he jumps on all 3 members of Evolution, and then Seth Rollins starts crawling back in the ring, or crawling back towards the ring. He gets back in the ring, Evolution is following him, Batista gets in first, and Seth Rollins goes for some sort of move from the top turnbuckle. He jumps onto Batista, but Batista catches him in a spinebuster or spear. Just like when Batista hit that spinebuster / spear on Elijah Burke, to this day, we still don't know if that was a spinebuster or a spear, or a mix of both. We just know it was a cool move, you know. So yeah, he catches him in a spinebuster / spear, and then afterwards he goes for the Batista bomb. And at that point, I'm thinking, all right, he's gonna hit the Batista bomb, and I'm thinking Seth Rollins is gonna be the first to be eliminated. But actually, Seth Rollins gets out of it. He jumps off of Batista's shoulders once he's up. And then out of nowhere, Reigns comes in with a spear onto Batista, covers him, 1, 2, 3, he gets the 3 counts, and Batista gets eliminated. Randy then gets in the ring, and he goes for an RKO on Seth Rollins, and he actually hits it. He goes for the cover, and Reigns was still in the ring, so I was thinking, you know, he's probably going to interrupt here, so, you know, he actually does. He interrupts the pin, so he saves his partner, and then Randy grabs Reigns, he sets him up in between the top and second rope for the DDT, but from behind, Ambrose comes in with a steel chair, hitting Randy with the chair in the back, and then he puts the chair on the mat, grabs Randy in position for the headlock driver, and he hits it right on the chair, covers Randy, 1, 2, 3, Randy is eliminated, so now it is down to all 3 members of the Shield and Triple H. 3-on-1, so Ambrose then goes to grab Triple H, but Triple H hits a low blow on Ambrose, and then he sets him up for the pedigree, but Reigns hits him with a Superman punch. And then once Reigns turns around, Batista comes in with a spear on Reigns. And then Triple H is down, and all 3 members of the Shield are down, and you see Randy on the outside. You can kind of see his head, and then you don't see him anymore. He's like looking for something under the ring, and he grabs the sledgehammer, and he slides it in the ring, giving it to Triple H. Triple H grabs the sledgehammer, and then Ambrose gets back in the ring, and Triple H hits him with the sledgehammer right in the head, and then he's waiting for Reigns to get up so he can hit Reigns with the sledgehammer as well. But before he can do so, out of nowhere, you see a freaking knee hit Triple H in the head. Obviously, it's Seth Rollins, you know, hit a springboard knee on Triple H, and then once Triple H, you know, turns around, bam, spear from Reigns. Reigns covers him, 3 counts, and the Shield beats Evolution once again, eliminating every member of Evolution while staying intact. No member of the Shield got eliminated. That was pretty surprising, but I was also pretty happy about that because I thought that Ambrose and Rollins would maybe get eliminated and then Reigns would be the only one left of the Shield and win the match. But no, they all, you know, none of them got eliminated, so that was cool. And after the match, you know, the Shield do their fist bump, and that's it for the show. This was a really good show. So, you know, WrestleMania was a great show, Extreme Rules was a great show, and Payback was also a great show. The Intercontinental Championship match was great, really good opener. The Last Man Standing match was great. The United States Championship match was great. And the main event was great. That's 4 matches right there. 4 great matches. And also, you know, I liked Rusev versus Biggie. It was a short match, but it was a match I was looking forward to. Just because, you know, it's like the first real match for Rusev, where it was back and forth. I also liked the unannounced tag team match. Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus Ryback and Curtis Axel. Really liked the ending of that match, the disaster kick into the shell shock. And it was just a solid show with a lot of highlights, especially the last man standing match. The last man standing match was a source of a lot of the highlights throughout the night, or for the show, with the superplex through the tables on the outside, Bray Wyatt's crossbody through the barricade, John Cena throwing the freaking steel steps on like full force on the outside onto Bray Wyatt. The attitude adjustment through the wooden box. It was, like I said, it was a great last man standing match. Main event was great too. It's gonna be hard to pick which Shield versus Evolution match I like the most. You know, the one at Extreme Rules or this one. They were both really good matches. The Shield versus Evolution match they had at Extreme Rules, I thought, was one of their best matches, if not their best match. And this one was a really great match too. Also, the US title match between Sheamus and Cesaro, that was a great opener for the show too. I would have preferred, bro kick or something like that for the ending, but regardless of the ending, it was a good match. So yeah, overall this was a really, really good show. And as far as a rating goes, I'd give it like a solid 8.5 on 10. And as far as the match of the night, I mean, it's a tough one. I really like the last man standing match. I also like the main event. I guess if I have to pick, I would actually maybe go for the last man standing match. It was really good. So, that's pretty much all I gotta say. What did you guys think was the match of the night? Tell me in the comment section below. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, as always, you can click that like button down below, or as Rusev would say, you can futria and machka that like button, which I heard means hit and crush. So with that said, I'm out guys, see ya.